In 2026, industrial competition reached a new turning point. Every week, headlines tell us that China is gaining ground in electric vehicles. China is dominating solar manufacturing. China is expanding globally in batteries, industrial equipment, advanced manufacturing, and technology innovation. We hear these headlines every day. But there is something most reports don't tell you. What is actually happening beneath the surface? Which industries are losing market share? Which companies are under pressure? What does it mean for Germany? What does it mean for Europe? And most importantly, what should business leaders do about it? Today, I am going to show you, but before we begin, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video so you don't miss future updates on business, finance, technology, innovation, and global competitive strategy. Let's start with a timeline. In early 2023, many analysts still believed Germany would maintain its long-standing industrial advantages. Germany remained one of the world's largest exporters of machinery, automobiles, industrial systems, and chemicals. However, according to the Statis, the Federal Statistical Office of Germany, released February 2024, Germany's export structure already showed early signs of stagnation in industrial growth momentum. China remained Germany's largest trading partner, with total trade volume reaching approximately 253 billion euros in 2023, based on the Statis, February 2024 release. At the same time, according to the International Energy Agency World Energy Outlook 2024, China accounted for over 80% of global solar module manufacturing capacity by mid-2025. The competitive landscape had shifted significantly. According to the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers, January 2025 report, China exported approximately 4.9 million vehicles in 2024, making it the world's largest auto exporter. According to Germany's KBA Vehicle Registration Authority, Chinese EV brands increased market share in Germany to over 4% in the electric vehicle segment by late 2025. Meanwhile, the Statis reported that approximately 88% of Germany's imported photovoltaic modules originated from China. What many observers viewed as separate developments were actually connected indicators of a broader transformation. And now, in 2026, our continued tracking of global economic, industrial, and technology data shows that competition is no longer defined primarily by labor costs. The battle is increasingly about innovation, industrial policy, supply chain control, artificial intelligence, advanced manufacturing, batteries, software, and scale. The question is no longer whether disruption is happening. The question is, who is prepared for it? Because industrial leadership is never permanent. History shows that every generation experiences a shift in economic power. The companies that identify these shifts early often gain competitive advantage. The companies that ignore them frequently lose market position. But that is not all. In the next chapter, we will examine the 7 industries where this transformation is occurring most rapidly and where the evidence is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. To understand what is happening, we need to move beyond headlines and examine where market share, investment, industrial capacity, and competitive advantage are shifting. 1. Industrial equipment. Germany remains one of the world's leaders in industrial machinery. However, according to the German Economic Institute, IBU 2025, and the International Federation of Robotics, IFA World Robotics Report 2025, China installed approximately 276,000 industrial robots in 2024, more than half of all new robot installations worldwide, while Chinese equipment manufacturers increasingly compete in automation, robotics, and factory systems. 2. Chemicals. Germany's chemical industry has been a cornerstone of European manufacturing. Yet, rising energy costs, global overcapacity, and growing competition have forced many firms to reconsider investment decisions and operational strategies. According to the German Chemical Industry Association (VCI), December 2025, German chemical production remained approximately 9% below pre-crisis 2018 levels, despite a modest recovery in output. 3. Machinery. For decades, German machinery manufacturers benefited from China's industrial growth. Today, many Chinese manufacturers increasingly source equipment domestically, while simultaneously competing in export markets, traditionally served by German firms. According to the German Mechanical Engineering Industry Association (VDMA), October 2025, China's share of global machinery production exceeded 30%, while Chinese manufacturers continued expanding exports across Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Europe. 4. Battery supply chains. According to the International Energy Agency, Global EV Outlook 2025, April 2025, China accounts for approximately 75% of global lithium-ion battery cell manufacturing capacity and more than 70% of battery production worldwide. This has significant implications for European automotive competitiveness. 5. Solar manufacturing. According to the Statis, March 2025, China supplied approximately 88% of Germany's solar module imports in 2024, according to the International Energy Agency. 2025. China also controls more than 80% of global solar manufacturing capacity across key photovoltaic supply chain segments. This illustrates how quickly industrial leadership can shift when scale and supply chain advantages converge. 6. Global automotive exports. According to the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers, CAM, January 2026, China exported approximately 5.86 million vehicles in 2025, maintaining its position as the world's largest vehicle exporter for a second consecutive year. This represents one of the most significant industrial developments of the decade. 7. Electric vehicles. The electric vehicle market has become the most visible battleground. According to CAM, January 2026, China sold approximately 12.9 million new energy vehicles in 2020, representing year-over-year growth of roughly 36%. Chinese manufacturers are expanding internationally, while established European manufacturers accelerate their own transition strategies. BYD alone sold approximately 4.27 million new energy vehicles globally in 2025. The story here is not that Germany has become weak. The story is that Chinese firms have become significantly stronger, and that changes the competitive equation. But industrial competition isn't measured only by sectors. It's measured by companies. Who is gaining? Who is losing? And what does this mean for investors, policymakers, manufacturers, and business leaders? We'll answer those questions next. At this point, the question is no longer whether industrial competition is changing. The evidence is already visible. The more important question is this: who is gaining advantage? Who is under pressure? And what are the long-term consequences? Let's start with automotive manufacturing. For decades, German companies such as Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz built their success on engineering excellence, global brand strength, and premium market positioning. That leadership has not disappeared, but the competitive environment has changed dramatically. According to industry data from the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers and European registration statistics, Chinese automakers have expanded rapidly across electric vehicles, while increasing exports to Europe, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. Companies such as BYD have evolved from regional manufacturers into global competitors. What makes this significant is not simply vehicle volume, it is vertical integration. Many Chinese manufacturers now control large portions of their battery supply chains, component ecosystems, and production processes. This creates cost advantages that many global competitors struggle to match. Next, batteries. According to the International Energy Agency, China continues to dominate large portions of battery refining, processing, and manufacturing capacity. As electric vehicles become increasingly dependent on battery technology, supply chain control becomes a strategic advantage. Now consider solar manufacturing. According to Germany's Federal Statistical Office, approximately 88% of Germany's imported photovoltaic modules originated from China in 2025. This highlights how industrial scale, production efficiency, and coordinated supply chains can reshape entire sectors. The implications extend beyond individual companies. For Germany, industrial competitiveness influences employment, export, investment, innovation, and economic growth. For Europe, it raises questions about strategic autonomy, industrial policy, energy security, and technological leadership. And for business leaders around the world, it creates a new reality. Markets are moving faster. Competition is becoming more global. Technology cycles are accelerating. Traditional advantages are becoming less durable. The winners of the next decade may not be the companies with the longest history. They may be the companies that adapt most effectively. And that brings us to the most important question of all. What should organizations do next? How do companies remain competitive in a world where disruption has become permanent? In the final chapter, we'll explore the strategies that business leaders are using to navigate uncertainty, build resilience, and create sustainable competitive advantage. This story is not that Germany is losing, nor is it that China has already won. The lesson is that competitive advantage is changing, and organizations that fail to adapt often discover that yesterday's strengths are not enough for tomorrow's challenges. As we continue tracking developments across Germany, China, Europe, North America, and global markets, one conclusion becomes increasingly clear. The companies that thrive in the next decade will be those that can identify change early and respond quickly. That requires more than information. It requires strategy. Today, business leaders face a growing number of critical questions. How should we respond to artificial intelligence? How should we redesign our supply chains? How should we protect market share? How should we expand internationally? How should we improve operational efficiency? How should we accelerate innovation? How should we prepare for future disruption? These are not isolated decisions. They are interconnected strategic challenges. The organizations that succeed increasingly approach them through integrated business transformation. That means aligning strategy, technology, operations, innovation, data, talent, and execution. This is why consulting and advisory support have become increasingly important during periods of economic transition. Not because companies lack information, but because turning information into action has become more difficult than ever. Organizations need practical solutions, not just reports, not just forecasts, not just dashboards. They need measurable outcomes. They need implementation. They need execution. This is where firms such as Synet DC provide value. At Synet DC, we help organizations transform complexity into clarity. Our capabilities span business strategy, technology consulting, innovation management, market intelligence, digital transformation, and artificial intelligence adoption. We also specialize in competitive analysis, operational improvement, international expansion, and organizational growth. We help clients understand emerging risks, identify new opportunities, strengthen competitive positioning, and build strategies designed for long-term success. Because in today's economy, the greatest risk is not disruption itself. The greatest risk is failing to prepare for it. The story of China and Germany is not simply about two countries. It is a story about the future of global competition. It is a story about innovation, technology, industrial transformation, and leadership. The organizations that understand these forces early will have the greatest opportunity to benefit from them. For more information about our consulting, technology, innovation, and business transformation services, visit www.synetconsulting. If you found this analysis valuable, subscribe, like, and share this video. Follow Synet DC for future insights. Thank you for watching. Synet DC.